My belief is that one size does not fit all. I do think that what it was started in Lakeview in terms of some of the issues that were had in terms of width and flat roofs, etc., does have to be brought forward. And I do believe, and I'm a big advocate for getting ahead of bylaw instead of chasing after things, so we end up with situations like potentially we have with Prime 8 Multiplex. My belief is that we should be consulting with city staff, ratepayers, and other stakeholders all at the same time to ensure that going into a situation that we have a reasonable outcome. So I do believe, again, that one size does not fit all, but I do believe that there is a solution for every issue. Thank you.
Well, Ward 1 is certainly a prime area where infill development is challenging all of us. I do have that experience of serving on the Committee of Adjustment, and despite what other people might say, that process is an open, public process. The community is encouraged to participate, notifications are sent out, and I'm committed to make sure that continues to happen as your local councillor. I respect the zoning bylaw and the official plan, and I actually understand the zoning bylaw and the official plan. You need a councillor when these development applications come over his or her desk each and every day. It's a councillor that has the background, the experience, and the knowledge to understand what's going on with the process. We don't control who comes forward for development applications, but we certainly can have an impact on exactly what winds up happening at the end of the day. My commitment is to work with the ratepayers associations and to be a strong councillor fighting to preserve the zoning bylaw and official plan in our community.
Hello again. Zoning bylaw, yeah. I like what I've heard because you have to listen to the community associations. They're at the grassroots level of it all. And if you listen to them, they'll tell you what's right and what's wrong and what should be allowed and what shouldn't be allowed within the existing parameters. I'm a firm believer in infrastructure before structure. We have to be able to move people efficiently on existing roads, existing transit, and on future roads and future planned transit. So thank you very much.
Hi there. So this question is coming from the Orchard Heights Homeowners Association. Well, it's from everybody, but I'm from the Orchard Heights Homeowners Association. Jim Tovey's Inspiration Lakeview was a passion project for him, and that's evident in how hard he fought to get it put through. What is your Inspiration Lakeview project? What's your legacy project for Ward 1? We're starting over at the end.
We're starting with Terry Burke, and we'll start that end and come down this way.
Legacy project. Well, yeah, I admire what Jim did down there and what is about to happen down there. 20,000 people will be calling that area home pretty soon. We have to make sure that they have the proper access and egress for getting to work in the morning. My legacy project, I guess, I want to carry on with one of Jim's ideas that I touched on earlier, putting another bridge over the Credit River. Because the traffic along Lakeshore in that part of the town is just disastrous. Whether it's his idea, connecting Port Street with the bridge in front of Snug Harbor, or another idea I've come up with is running another bridge right alongside the railroad tracks, and there'd be no expropriation of houses, because it would run through the area behind the Legion, behind the arena, through the existing GO Train parking area, and connecting with Queen Street onto here, Ontario. That's assuming we get a parking garage at the GO station. Thank you.
Well, certainly Jim Tovey's legacy will be Inspiration Lakeview, will be the development on the former OPG lands, and all of City Council unanimously has supported that. At Council's last meeting in July, they passed the Lakeview Waterfront Major No Character Area Policies, which is designed to implement Inspiration Lakeview that the community and Jim worked so hard to develop. So my vision is the vision that City Council has adopted unanimously, that this is how we move forward on the Lakeview development lands. As you're well aware, the Ontario Power Generation sold the property to a private development consortium. And again, we need a city councillor who understands how development works, understands how City Hall works, understands how community engagement is so important to making sure that this project is the waterfront that we all want to see.
Well, thanks for the question. I think this is exciting. I think we're in an exciting time right now, but I also think we're in a bit of a dangerous time right now. There was a plan that was adopted by City Council unanimously when it comes to our waterfront, but more importantly, I think that we actually have to have it implemented as it was envisioned and agreed upon its sale, to make sure that we have access to our waterfront and that there's responsible density that goes in there as well. I also would like to leave behind a few other things. I think what's very important to acknowledge and respect where we come from, for our First Nations and our Aboriginal people, to make sure that we truly have an equal voice at the table for everybody. I think that's extremely important as a legacy, and I also believe that having the idea of a pedestrian and cycling bridge that would go across the Credit River up by Memorial Park, that would go across, is another important thing that we can leave behind as well. So in terms of respecting our community and having a sustainable and livable community with respect for everyone. Thank you.
I think there's no question that Jim Tovey's legacy is going to stand on its own, but we also need to acknowledge that that legacy came from a lot of partnership work, not just with his colleagues at City Hall, but provincially as well, with help from people like Charles Sousa. And I think it's important that we acknowledge that no legacy is one individual's, it's teamwork. One of the things I'd like to see as my legacy would be a legacy of community, a legacy where we bring the different areas we have together more often, more frequently, in small and little ways. I'd like to see projects like Movies in the Park expanded throughout our communities, so that Applewood has one of their own, so that the other parks see uses like Sunday concerts and other things like that. I would love for my legacy to be that we all have somewhere to sit and enjoy a coffee with a friend, that we have park benches, that we have public space that we are all using, and that we feel safe and confident in our children using our parks. That's what I'd like my legacy to be. Thank you.
One-track person here. My legacy is right where I was born and raised, the Etobicoke watershed. There is, it's ground zero of the Toronto Purchase, and that legacy would be to reinvent it. It was started in 1787, September 23rd. That's when the Toronto Purchase took place. That exact location, where the James Alderson farmhouses, it is one of the most beautiful areas. When I lived in Vancouver, this area still ranks #1 for me. It is, the watershed has cut out two areas where the two Etobicos join together. It's beautiful. Unfortunately, we're using it for toxic, dirty diesel place. It's the worst place for diesel to be. We fought to get rid of a natural gas power plant, and we've lost even worse because now it's all being used for toxic, dirty diesel. It is one of the most beautiful areas. We could have bridges, suspension bridges going right down across these gorges in the area, as well as it could lead right down to the waterfront, connecting with Jim Tovey's dream and his way. So thank you very much.
Yes, there's no question that Jim Tovey had an amazing vision, and that is being finally achieved by having the official plan approved and also the amendment to the Inspiration Lakeview. Now we have to bring that vision into reality, and that's what I'm going to do for you. You need someone that can implement Jim Tovey's vision. As, again, multiple years as a planning manager, I will assure that I collaborate with you guys as a group together in making sure that your voices are heard and that we work together to move Ward 1 forward. So again, what is my legacy? My legacy is to be your voice and making sure that I serve you, Ward 1. I'm here for you and I'm ready to serve you. Thank you.
So, to lead a legacy project, I think you probably all have several. I have several in my mind, but one of them that I think would have long-lasting impact that would take all of us to do it, is looking at housing instability. Housing instability is a health crisis. We have room for development in our own backyard that we do not take advantage of enough. I mentioned earlier about second units. There are about 563, I think, second units that are registered as legal units with the City of Mississauga. Ward 1 has 20. Maybe there are a lot of illegal units, I don't know, but 20 is a very low number considering the number of houses we have, the number of seniors we have, and that would be a legacy project that I think we could stand proud of. We have a homelessness strategy, we have an age-built friendly strategy, we have many different strategies that are coming together, and at the core of it is that people need somewhere to live. That's where we start our day off. That's where it impacts everything else we can do. If you don't have a stable home to begin with, how do you go off and become an entrepreneur? How do you go off and do all these other wonderful things if you're always wondering if you're going to have a roof over your head? And so this is one of these legacy projects that I think we could really be driving behind. Toronto and Hamilton are leading on some of these pieces, and we should be leading in this area. We have the resources here. We have the political will, the motivation, and that's what I put forward.
Hi candidates, Ryan again from Sherway Homeowners. My question to you is, all three of our neighborhoods, Orchard Heights, Applewood, and Sherway, have been fighting long-term to stop excess speeding on our roads. Calling on police enforcement and using yellow signs that say slow down are only temporary fixes. What is your plan to permanently slow down our residential streets in Ward 1?
We'll start down at this end.
You need almost a minute just to think in this whole question. Actually, I have called up and looked into what can we do for the slowing. When I was out door knocking, I met Lexi, and she's a young girl who's looking to ride her bike but doesn't feel safe on the roads or the sidewalk. And we're trying here to create a culture where we can be on our bikes riding to get off the road and out of our cars. And so it starts here with our stories. So we're looking at slowing down. I'd love to hear what your feedback is on what initiatives you think we can have. Should we have limited roads? That would cause some traffic congestion, but should we do that? Should we have the signs that are up, like they are up on Dixie, that tell you what speed you're going to remind you? Do we put in more speed bumps? There's also neighborhood watches for speed. And there's a variety of innovations that you can have there, but it takes the community to come together to say this is what we want. At this one corner, I posted about it, we don't even have stop signs, and there's a blind spot. You've got one stop sign, but you've got 4 directions of traffic. And so again, I would go to look at what do we need in that particular community? What's going to work? How many houses do we have? Is it actually a throughway where people are actually using it to divert traffic congestion? Or is it a place that's only full of homes? That might have a different type of solution, like those longer but lower, so you don't impact your low riding cars. Do we have little speed bumps like that? Or actually, are we doing something different? Are we having trees come in? Are we using our natural environment to slow traffic down? There's a lot of ideas out there, but we need not one size fits all.
This is a really good question. Thank you for asking it, Ryan. I grew up on North Service Road, and the speed that goes down on that street. And we'd walk up to Melba because I went to St. Edmunds, and I would turn off onto Rambo and then went on to Melton. And you look at also in Sherway, Sherway, you have the only two outlets, Venta and Sherway Drive. You go into Orchard Heights, Roadtown, Park Royale, and these areas, there's intense speeding in those areas, and they're at 40 and 50. So what are we going to do about it? And if elected, we have to look at traffic calming measures. I've been going door to door, and I've heard that maybe we should implement speed bumps, and also we should engage with the regional PO police in order to monitor these areas, because they have been absent for a while now within Sherway and with Applewood and also in Orchard Heights. And maybe after a couple of months, people will find and catch the attitude and grasp of slowing down. And so we have to look at traffic calming measures, having neighborhood watch programs, and I know that next week, I believe, Sherway has a AGM coming up where you have MTO coming in. You also have just a group discussing about community and road safety. These issues are important, and I'm here to be your voice and also bring them up to your homeowners associations, because that's where decisions are made. Thank you.
That we have is in the residential area, but when you leave the residential area, you can't put speed bumps in, obviously, on Dixie. But I do think that is a great idea to put the speed bumps in the residential area, especially like on Sherway Drive, because that is used like a main highway. From the other direction, though, if we could actually connect our communities like Roantown to ours under the QEW, when they're doing that road construction and everything, I think it would be a great idea if we could go under instead of over. I remember as a child walking across, Dixie to St. Edmunds, and I remember a transport truck had lost its wheel, and you're just watching it bounce, and you know, children can't be walking across highways like that. So I think that we should be looking at other alternatives. Soon we'll probably have automated cars, so we won't have to deal with this problem anymore, but till then, I guess we have to look at other initiatives. Thank you.
Speeding on residential, did I do something? No, there it is. Speeding on residential roads is a story that I think we're all hearing at the doors. And, you know, many people are suggesting things like speed bumps and traffic calming and just putting in bike lanes because it narrows it visually. Does that help people think that they should be going slower? But I think we need